Hi, welcome to Melissa's Money Mindset. Today, we're going to be talking about all things cars and exactly how much car you can afford. Did you know that overall Americans owe more than $1.6 trillion in auto loan debt? That makes cars the second leading debt category just behind mortgages. Average car payments as of 2024 are $739 a month for new cars and $533 a month for used cars, with the average price of a car being around $48,000. With a shocking new statistic that over 17.9% of car owners in the U.S. pay more than $1,000 per month for their cars. Delinquency rates on auto loans are at their highest since 2010, with 7.7% of owners being at least 30 days late on their car payment and 4.2% being more than 90 days late. All that to say, this is a complicated and sometimes tense topic that 92% of U.S. households have to address. If you want to learn exactly how much car you can afford, then let's get right into it. But before we do that, if you could please do me a huge favor and hit that like button and subscribe to my channel, it really helps me out. All right, so let's start out with the difference between wanting a car. Yes, I'm talking to all of you car enthusiasts out there, including my husband, and needing a car. If you actually need a car, maybe you've been in a car accident or your car's been totaled, or maybe you just got a huge repair bill and it just doesn't make sense for you to put that kind of money into your car and you actually need a car. So the difference between wanting and needing a car should drive your budget decisions. Car expenses can be huge. So the next topic is whether you're paying cash for a car or if you plan on financing it. As I'm sure we're all aware, car dealerships do not have your best interest in mind, so don't let them talk you into anything that you aren't sure of. As we'll talk about in a little bit, car dealerships want to just focus on making sure that your car budget fits your monthly needs. They'll adjust the interest rate and the loan term so that you might actually end up paying more for your car in the long run, but they don't really care about that. They just want to make sure that you can pay your car payment each month. The average loan term is currently around 68 months, which is nearly 5 years. And if your credit is subprime, they can extend that term even longer, meaning that you're paying on your car for 5, 6, 7 years on a depreciating asset. As of 2024, nearly 80% of consumers choose to finance their vehicles. And let's talk about rates. Currently, for a new car, rates are averaging 7.18%, and for a used car, a mind-boggling 11.93%. And that's if you have good credit. If you have subprime credit, again, those rates can be even higher. Now, the next most expensive car-related cost is probably car insurance. The cost of your car insurance is determined by, obviously, your driving record, if you've had any accidents or speeding tickets, how much you drive, the area in which you live and where you park your car, your age and your gender, as well as what type of coverage and deductible you want. As of making this video in 2024, the average monthly cost of car insurance is $168 per month. But keep in mind that if you're buying a more expensive car, you'll likely have to pay more to insure that car. The next cost I want to talk about is car registration. So basically, you'll have to pay a car registration fee to whatever state you live in on a yearly basis, or if you're buying a new car, or if you're moving to a new state to be able to register your car. Car registration basically certifies that your car can legally be driven on the road. And it also associates your car with you so that they know exactly how many cars are being driven and are registered to that specific state. So how is car registration cost determined? It's based on the MSRP, or the manufacturer's suggested retail price, aka how much your car cost when it was brand new. So basically, if you're buying a new car, you'll probably pay a pretty penny your first year of registering that car, but then you should see your car registration costs start to decline as your car depreciates and ages. All right, the next expense I want to talk about is gas. So let's consider the gas mileage of whatever car you're planning to buy. As of 2024, the average car or sedan gas mileage is roughly 24.40 miles per gallon, and for a truck, it's 17.8 miles per gallon. The average commute time is about 27.6 minutes, or about 41 miles per day to work and back. That's assuming that you don't go anywhere else, which is kind of unrealistic. So let's do a little bit of math. All right, so let's assume that you're driving 41 miles per day to work and back, about 20 work days per month. So that's 5 days per work week. That means you'll be driving 820 miles to work each month, assuming that you don't drive anywhere else. So let's take that 820 miles divided by the average car sedan fuel efficiency of 24.4 miles per gallon means that you're using 33.6 gallons of gas per month just to get to work, times the national average for gas in March of 2024, which is $3.54. So that means that you're spending about $120 on gas each month. All right, now the same thing for a truck. We're still assuming that you drive about 820 miles per month at 17.8 miles per gallon. You're using 46.07 gallons of gas just to get to and from work every month, times the national average for gas in March of 2024, which is at $3.54, equals $163 per month just on fuel expenses alone. And that doesn't even take into account the maintenance or cost of ownership for your car, even normal oil changes, or God forbid you get a big bill from your mechanic. It goes without saying that owning a Toyota will cost you a lot less money than a Ferrari, but it's worth mentioning. I also like to use the Edmunds True Cost to Own calculator. This is a really helpful tool because it breaks down the total 5-year ownership costs for you in terms of depreciation, tax and fees that you'll be paying, financing costs, any fuel costs, insurance, repairs, and any maintenance costs. So at the top, it'll tell you the total cash price that you're going to be paying for the car, and then the true cost to own price. And we haven't even talked about depreciation yet. So know that if you're buying a brand new car, as soon as you drive your car off of that lot, you're losing 11% of the value of your car. Is that worth it to you? And then during the first 5 years, your car will depreciate on average 15 to 25% each and every year, leaving your car after 5 years worth approximately 37% of the price that you paid for it, or the MSRP. And before we talk about exactly how much car you can afford by salary, I just want to be clear that these are the maximum amounts that you should be spending each month. Do I recommend you spend the maximum amount each month? Absolutely not. Cars are by far and away not the most important thing in your life. I want to make sure that you have at least 6 months of an emergency fund so that, God forbid, everything goes away tomorrow, you're still able to live and pay all of your expenses for 6 months. And there's also opportunity cost for spending a lot of money on a car up front, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. All right, so our first buying method is going to be paying for a car in cash. I feel like there are 2 subsets of people that fit into this category. One being car enthusiasts, which unfortunately my husband and I fall into this category, and we do have a house rule that we never finance toys. If it's a car that we absolutely do not need, it's more of a want, we pay for it in cash because we don't want to be accruing interest on a car that we're just buying for fun. The second category of people are those that just want a reliable car. Maybe it's 5 to 10 grand, whatever they can afford, and they just aren't interested in financing a car, which I completely understand. That actually ends up saving you a lot of money down the road. So let's talk about this category of people for a minute. So as long as you're okay with saving up your money for a little while and delaying that instant gratification, this is a perfect method for people because while paying 5 to 10 grand for a car or whatever you can afford might not get you the newest model or a car with all the bells and whistles, it's actually an incredible financial decision. It minimizes your overall debt exposure and it allows you to afford more later on by saving on interest payments during that time. So let's say you go into this car buying process wanting a $30,000 car, but you decide, hey, I could delay this for a few years. I'm going to save up $5,000 to $10,000 and pay for my car in cash. You're saving yourself basically 8 to 11% on interest over the term of your loan on the $20,000 to $25,000 that you would have to finance to buy that car. And then you can choose to reallocate that money however you would like to. You can buy a nicer car later on. Maybe you want to buy a house, or maybe you want to get into investing or use that money to make you more money in some way. So I just wanted to provide you an example. So say you saved up $5,000 to $10,000 and you bought your car outright. Perfect. Done. All right. So now let's say you chose to take the average new car payment of $739 per month and you chose to invest that into the S&P 500. So let's say you've made your initial investment of $8,868, which is that average new car payment of $739 a month times 12 months. So you've invested your $8,868 and now you continue to invest $739 every month for 30 years. I want to be conservative for this example, and we'll say that the average S&P 500 return is 8%, but as of 2024, the average S&P return is a little bit over 10%, but we'll say 8% for this example. So in 30 years, if you continued this, you would have over $1 million, $1,093,790. Now, if you invested that same amount of money and you compounded it annually for 40 years, you would have almost $2.5 million. And if you invested at 18 years old and you let your money grow for 50 years, you'd retire with over $5 million. That puts you way ahead of the average retiree who has an average retirement balance of not even $300,000. Point being, paying cash for your car is a great option, especially if you're just looking for something to get you from point A to point B. Overall, most cars are depreciating assets, and so if you can save a little bit of money or spend less money on your car, you'll probably do better in the long run. All right, so now let's talk about financing your car. There are two main approaches to this, depending on if cars are important to you and you want to spend a little bit of extra cash on them, or if you want to be a little bit more frugal and you're just looking for a reliable A to B car. All right, so let's start with the most conservative rule, which is the 23-8 rule, meaning that you put down 20% when you purchase the car, you pay off the car within 3 years, and you don't spend more than 8% of your pre-tax or gross income on the vehicle. That also includes any other transportation costs associated with owning the car, which we talked about before. In 2024, the average salary is roughly $60,000. All right, so let's take $60,000 per year times 8% of your income is roughly $4,800 per year that you can spend on a car, or $400 per month. Again, this $400 figure includes gas, insurance, car registration, all the things that we already talked about. So on that kind of a budget, you could afford this 2017 Nissan Sentra for $10,499, financed over a loan term of 36 months. The interest rate, let's just use the average for a used car, 11.93%. Your down payment is $2,100, making your monthly car payment $278.69. So with all of your other car expenses factored in, that would bring you right around that $400 per month car budget. If you make $80,000 per year, with this rule, you could spend roughly $17,000 on a car, meaning that you could afford this 2021 Mitsubishi Outlander. If you make $100,000 per year, you could afford a $23,000 car, like this 2019 BMW 4 Series. If you make $200,000 annually, you can afford a $40,000 car like this 2021 Volvo XC90. If you make $500,000 per year, you can afford a $100,000 car like this 2023 Cadillac Escalade Sport or this pretty cool 2023 Dodge Challenger Hellcat. If you make $1 million per year, you can afford a $200,000 car like a 2021 Bentley Bentayga, or maybe even some kind of a supercar like a 2020 Audi R8. We'll talk about some more exotics here in just a minute. So a lot of you are probably thinking that this strategy seems pretty restrictive and somewhat unrealistic. Again, if you're just looking for an A to B car, you don't really care what kind of car you drive, or you're on a really limited budget, this is perfect for you. It's also great for safeguarding yourself. It allows you to pay off your loan quickly, and it allows you to live within your means so that you have some extra income to either save or invest. All right, so let's talk about this as a potential investment opportunity. So let's again take the average new car payment of $739 per month. Let's say that you're paying $400 per month for your car and investing the difference of $339 per month if you can afford to do so. So let's take a $339 initial investment, $339 every month, compounded for 30 years, and in retirement, you'll have an extra $464,000. So this is a great way and a great example of paying a little bit less up front and thanking yourself for that in the future. All right, so let's move on to the next rule, which is the 24-10 rule, meaning again that you put 20% down on your car, you pay off your loan in this time 4 years or 48 months, and you don't spend more than 10% of your monthly income on that vehicle, which gives you a little bit more wiggle room, and I would say is perfect for the car enthusiast that has to finance their cars. So if you make $60,000 per year, you can afford a $20,000 car. If you make $80,000 per year, you can afford a $28,000 car. If you make $100,000 per year, you can afford a $37,000 car. If you make $200,000 per year, you can afford a $75,000 car. If you make $500,000 per year, you can afford a $200,000 car. And if you make $1 million annually, you can afford a $400,000 car. The only downside to this method is that you are spending more for transportation and you are paying on a loan for a longer period of time, meaning that you're paying more in interest. But again, if you're a car person, this might be worth it to you. All of these rules that we're talking about today are meant to help you make financially responsible decisions. So now let's talk about people on the opposite end of the coin, the car dealership. So first of all, you have to qualify for whatever car you're going to buy, and they'll look at your debt to income ratio, meaning how much debt you have in comparison to how much money you bring in. So this can include anything from other car payments to a mortgage payment or student loans. Even your credit cards can be taken into account. The rule is that your DTI, your debt to income ratio, has to be less than 45%, meaning that no more than 45% of your income can go towards debt payments. So let's say that you make $4,000 per month. So 45% of $4,000 means that you can have in total $1,800 per month of financeable items. So once the dealership has this information, they will do just about anything to make sure that you can make your car payment every month. That could include offering you a loan term of up to 92 months. Again, the car dealership is not your friend in this situation. You are responsible for your own financial decisions, so make sure that you understand whatever loan terms you're being offered. I also highly recommend looking at the total price of the car. How much will you pay for this car if you're actually financing it out 92 months? What is the actual value of the car today? And how much money will you be paying by the time this car is paid off? It's also important to understand, just like Fannie and Freddie can sell off your mortgage loan on your house to any other lenders and make some money, a car dealership can do the same thing. So as long as you make your car payments on time for the first few months, that car dealership can then sell your loan out to any lender and they can make a quick buck. That's a great ROI for them, not a great ROI for you. So make sure that you're thinking about yourself. Also, knowing this can help you in the negotiation process. I would also advise to never pay full price for a car. There is always wiggle room, especially on used cars. So don't listen to that salesperson that says, this is our bottom dollar. There's always room. It's your job to be an informed consumer, so don't let people take advantage of you. Also, if you have a budget in mind, which is the budget we're talking about now, make sure that you stick to your budget and don't let any car salesman convince you to go over your budget to get the newest features or the newest car. That doesn't matter. I want you to be financially responsible and set yourself up for success. All right, so car fanatics and car enthusiasts can also set themselves up for success. If you plan on dropping a pretty penny on a dream car, make sure that if you had to, you could sell that car in the future and not take a loss. There are plenty of models that actually are going up in value, and some of these examples are manual exotic cars. This could be a Ferrari 360, a Ferrari 430, a Lamborghini Gallardo, or a Murcielago. You can also buy one of the last naturally aspirated cars. This could include a Ferrari 458 or a Pagani Zonda. You could also buy a low production vehicle. These can include a BMW Z8, a Mercedes SLS AMG, a Dodge Viper, a Lexus LFA, a Ford GT, or an Aston Martin V12 Vantage. At the end of the day, buy a car that works for you and your budget, and don't be suckered into the world of consumerism and societal pressure to have the best and the newest. If you can't afford it, don't buy it. And don't try to keep up with the Joneses, because the Joneses are probably financed to the kilt. Like I said before, being in a great financial position is worth far more than any car you could ever buy, especially considering most cars are depreciating assets. Most people should just try to find a car that can get them safely from point A to point B, and that's near the bottom of its depreciation curve, which usually happens when the vehicle is between 3 and 5 years old. Also try to find a make and model that won't strand you with costly mechanic bills over the next few years. I hope this discussion of how much car you can afford by salary has been helpful. If you have any car buying stories you want to share with me, feel free to drop those in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. As always, feel free to follow me on my other social channels, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.